All right, today we're going to dive into a pretty incredible real-world story from facility management. It's all about how one manager working in the education sector took a totally standard, kind of boring operational task and turned it into a huge financial win. So let's get right into how they pulled it off. So here's the big question, right? How in the world does a facility manager find over $300,000 in savings every single year, hiding inside something as routine as property inspections? The answer is a really powerful lesson about efficiency, new tech, and honestly, just seeing value where most of us only see a cost. To really get this success story, you first have to understand the problem. And for this particular school, it was a classic case of an inspection bottleneck. You know the drill. Every time a student's space had to be turned over, this slow, paper-based, super clunky process would kick in. Let's put some real numbers to that. I mean, this was not a small operation. You've got a 15-person team doing 120 major inspections every year. But the number you really need to focus on is 4 hours. That's how much labor it took for every single inspection. And that's where the real problem was hiding. Think about it. 4 hours multiplied by 120 inspections, that's 480 hours of skilled labor just getting sucked into this slow, outdated process every year. It was a constant drag on everything. So with a problem this big, you know something's got to give. And this brings us right to the turning point in the story. They brought in a new tool that was about to completely change their world. The solution was a platform called Project AIdra. Now, all you really need to know is that it's a tool built specifically to take that messy paper-based inspection process and make it fast, digital, and totally data-driven. This was the spark for everything that came next. And the results? Whoa, they were almost immediate. The very first and probably most dramatic impact was a huge shift in the team's most precious resource, their time. Remember this number? 4 hours. That was the baseline. That was the before picture for every single inspection that team had to do. And then, boom, after they brought in the new tool, 70% of that inspection time just vanished. It wasn't shifted somewhere else, it was just gone, completely eliminated from the process. That freed up an incredible amount of the team's capacity. So to put a hard number on it, cutting a 4-hour task by 70% means you're saving 2.8 hours on every single inspection. That is a massive gain in efficiency. Now, saving time is great, for sure, but the real story here is what that time is actually worth. So let's follow the money, because this is where a simple operational tweak becomes a huge financial success story. When you translate all those saved hours into actual dollars, by multiplying the hours saved by the number of inspections and the team's labor cost, you get this absolutely massive number, over $342,000 in labor savings per year. But of course, the tool wasn't free. The annual license for the platform cost just under $12,000. So that's the investment side of the equation. Okay, so this is the crucial part. You take those big savings, you subtract the cost of the software, and the facility was left with over $330,000 in net savings. Annually, that's real money going straight back to the bottom line. And that, my friends, brings us to the headline number. When you run the numbers on the return on that initial investment, you get an ROI of 2,758%. It's a number so big it honestly looks like a typo, but the math is simple and it's real. And maybe even more impressive than the ROI is this. The payback period was just 1 month. It took only 30 days for the savings they were generating to completely cover the entire annual cost of the software. Everything after that was pure profit. So you can see this wasn't just some one-time win. This single decision created a whole new, much higher performing reality for the entire facilities department. Let's just put it side by side. On one hand, you have the old way, manual, slow, filled with hidden labor costs. And on the other, you have the new standard, streamlined, super fast, and a source of massive annual savings. It's a total transformation. And really, this is the heart of the story. This manager didn't just go out and buy some software. They used technology to completely redefine a core task. They literally transformed a routine cost center into an unexpected engine for efficiency and savings. And that really just leaves us with a final thought. If you manage any kind of building or property, you already know they're a huge investment. This story just proves that the processes you use to manage them are too. So the question to ask yourself is, what's your inspection ROI?